morning, fellow mathematicians. Welcome back to another video. I totally forgot the main thing. It's right here in my backpack. Yesterday, I actually went to my physical mailbox. Go ahead and send me stuff, okay? Physical mailbox stuff. This right here is the address, okay? Down there in the description also. Feel free to send me stuff. And someone sent me something. It's a little origami bear. I actually know this one. I folded it before myself. And he also sent me a little postcard right here. What did he say? Hey Papa Flammy, your YouTube videos are dank. Can you make a YouTube video on this blubberlemme? Also enjoy the origami I sent. Find the power series representation for the function and determine the radius of convergence of f of x being equal to x times the inverse tangent of 4 times x squared. Sincerely, Tucker A. Dot. I thank you very much. If you want to send me problems or origami bears or pictures of landscapes and animals, I actually received something like that before, then yeah, send that shit to my mailbox. I highly appreciate input from all of you guys. It's so nice to read some fan mail, to be honest. It's an improvised session. I'm going to give it a try, and I already thought about some things when being in the bus. Okay? We are going to go ahead and get started. So you see, one thing is, it would be enough for us to find out the Taylor series expansion for the inverse tangent of 4 times x squared. Why is this the case? Well, with Taylor series, if they converge absolutely in their radius of convergence, there's one nice thing. If we would, for example, want to find out the Taylor series of f of x in this case, well, what we can do, if we consider this to be g of x, and we consider this to be h of x, for example, if we just multiply two Taylor series together, this is going to result in the Taylor series of our f of x. But only if and only if those two converge absolutely in the radius of convergence. This just has to do with the Cauchy product, okay? This is just something that holds. It just has to do with convergence. One thing I really have to say is that the radius of convergence is going to change. So the radius of convergence really doesn't get preserved when doing this operation. So after that, we really have to think about the radius of convergence. I think that's going to be the hardest part. It's kind of weird that he chose 4 times x squared as the argument. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it makes finding the radius of convergence a bit harder. So what is the cool thing here? Well, x has an infinite radius of convergence. It's just a polynomial, okay? And polynomials in themselves are their own Taylor series expansion. So we are done with finding the Taylor series for our g of x, which is nothing but x, the identity. Now, all we really have to do is to find the Taylor series for the inverse tangent of 4 times x squared. And here's one other thing you can do. If you want to find the Taylor series for some simple f of x, feel free to plug in a different argument into there after that. All that's really going to change is the radius of convergence after doing so. So if you want to find out the Taylor series for 1 over 1 plus x to the third power, well, you can basically just turn this into the geometric series, okay? And then you can go ahead and play around a bit. So what we are going to do now is, that was at least my train of thought. I hope I'm correct on this one. We are simply going to take a look at the Taylor series of our inverse tangent of x. What he didn't specify is which kind of Taylor series. And I'm going to go with a Maclaurin series expansion here because it's the easiest to actually calculate, okay? So yeah, you didn't specify where I should do the Taylor series on which spot, so I'm just going to do it on 0, okay? I hope that's fine with you, my boy Tucker, okay? Little Tucker boy. Inverse tangent. That's actually something I have done before, inverse tangent of x. It has to do with the Catalan's constant, okay? I made a video on that. Link will be probably in the description down there. What we have is that we know since the start of this channel, since the beginning, we know a certain identity for the inverse tangent, that this is nothing but the integral from 0 to x of dt over 1 plus t squared, okay? This is just our boy, the inverse tangent. Or you can simply do it without upper and lower bounds and just get rid of the constant c and you are also fine, okay? Now, here comes something in that I said before with the geometric series right here, okay? We can turn this into the geometric series. Positive in the real numbers, for example, is nothing but negative times negative. Okay, now we are going to do a Taylor series on here. And I want you guys to notice something. If we do so, our radius of convergence needs to be restricted right here, only up until 1. Okay, so after doing integration on the Taylor series, in this case the geometric series, our radius of convergence is not going to change, okay? Only by multiplying Taylor series together or by actually by putting other arguments in here. But we should need to check for the endpoints after that, okay? But this is not our business right here. So endpoints can change. They are not bound to change, but they can change sometimes. For example, right here, 1 would be the highest upper bound we could possibly get for this Taylor series then, because otherwise it wouldn't converge uniformly and we couldn't interchange it. So 1 is our restriction up there, but maybe it also holds for 1 right here after doing the integration. Okay, I hope you could follow on what I said right here. Yeah, geometric series. What do we have right here? This is going to give us negative t squared to the kth power dt. And well, like I said, if it isn't our radius of convergence, let's say x is less or equal to 1 in this case, or just simply 1 right here, okay, then we can actually interchange those two, this integral and this series, those limits basically, and also negative 1 to the kth power, we can bring it to the outside. And all that's really left is thus an integral of a simple polynomial, t to the 2kth power dt. And this is going to result in t to the 2k plus 1th power over 2k plus 1 from 0 to x. Meaning on 0 everything's going to vanish. It's a simple polynomial in there and we can plug x into here. So this is something I have done before. This right here is simply our Taylor series expansion or our Maclaurin series expansion for our inverse tangent. And like I said a second ago, this should also hold on the endpoints 1 and negative 1 because you are going to get an alternating series over the reciprocals of odd numbers. Okay, this should be something. I'm not going to calculate that now. Okay, after we found that out, why not plug this in right here? Okay, like I said, we can just multiply Taylor series together, meaning our f of x is thus nothing other than x times our infinity boy of, okay, this is going to be preserved, negative 1 to the kth power, and also we are going to get, okay, I'm going to put over 2k plus 1 in here. Now we are going to get 4 to the 2k plus 1 power. Please do not mistake my k for a 4 or the 4 for a k, okay, this is not something I want right here. And also x squared, if we put this into here, this is going to result in x to the 4k plus 2th power. Okay, and if we bring our x into here, this is also going to raise it by 1 more. And this should actually be our Maclaurin series expansion for f of x up here. I think this is thus the first part of the challenge being done. Yes, right. Only radius of convergence left. This looks really ugly, so if we were to write this out, I'm going to check in the end with Wolfram Alpha because I just want to see if I write on here. What would we have here? Okay, it's over 1 and then 0 into here, so that's just 4 times 4 times x to the 3rd power. That looks quite exotic, to be honest. If we plug, yeah, okay, it's probably what it is. And then we are going to have 1 into here is negative over 5. No, 3. By whatever do we have? This is to the 3rd power. 4 to the 3rd power is the same as 2 to the 6th power, right? And this is 64. or is it 128? 4 times 4 is 16, no, 64. 64, I was right on this one. And x to the 7th power plus, yeah, simply O of x to the 11th power after that, adding 4 to it right here. Okay, this looks quite exotic, it looks really ugly, but now for the radius of convergence. I'm going to go for the simple ratio test right here, because I think this is going to do the trick. Ratio test works really nice on alternating series, for example. So, what we are going to do, we are going to take the limit as k goes to infinity of this argument, but with k plus 1 plugged into there instead of k, over this argument simply in here. So absolute value of, I'm going to simplify. So the alternating parts, the negative parts are going to cancel out. The absolute value of negative stuff is just positive. Then we are going to have up there in the numerator 4 to the 2 times k plus 1 plus 1. I'm simply going to put it like this. X to the 4 k plus 1 plus 3, and also over this chunk, let me think for a second, I don't want to have this huge fraction right here, I would like to simplify everything. 2 times k plus 1 plus 1, okay, and then over simply this right here, so reciprocal of 1 over 2k plus 1, I'm going to put it here, ending off the life of this absolute value boy, and then all the other stuff. Putting this in parentheses, times 4 to the 2k plus 1, and also x to the 4k plus 3. Let us see what is going to cancel out. Most of the time a lot of stuff is going to cancel out. So 4k and 4k is going to cancel out, 3 and 3 is going to cancel out, leaving us with the absolute value of x to the 4th power. It's independent of k, so we can bring it to the outside. So what we are having is x to the 4th power times the limit. I'm going to denote it as capital L of the absolute value, the absolute unit right here of, okay, what is going to cancel out this and that, 2k and 2k. So we are going to have 4 squared, okay. Absolute value of 4 squared, we can bring it to the front. Okay, so this is something we can do, so times 16, basically, times the limit. Okay, other than that, we are going to have 2k plus 1 over 2k plus 3. Okay, absolute value of natural numbers, okay, or positive rationals is simply positive, so getting rid of the absolute value right here. If we take the limit, we can factor out the k on both terms. It's simply going to vanish, meaning this is going to 0, this is going to 0, this is going to result in 2 over 2 in the limit, which is nothing but 1, meaning overall, we want this to be strictly less than 1 in order for that to converge absolutely, okay? This is going to determine our absolute radius of convergence. So if we have x to the 4th power in absolute values, that's the absolute value of x times the absolute value of x, blah, 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 4 times exactly. So that's the absolute value of x to the 4th power times 16, strictly less than 1. That actually turns out quite nicely. So that's equivalent to saying absolute value of x to the 4th power is strictly less than 1/16. 16 is 2 to the 4th power, okay? Ignoring negative and positive signs after taking the 4th root is going to result in the radius of convergence being less than 1/2. At the moment, for this it's definitely so for all values in between, for all values between negative 1/2 and 1/2, it's going to converge absolutely. Okay, definitely. We are always going to find a certain value right here. For example, 0 would be in here, it's going to result in completely 0, that's nice. And also everything, for example, 1/3 is going to turn out nicely. But, like I said, we have to check for the endpoints. It's the same situation as here. Meaning our endpoints are thus 1/2 and negative 1/2, and yeah, we have to do some work on that. So, let us go ahead. So, f of 1/2. Let me check it first. is going to result in 1/2 times the inverse tangent of 4 times 1/2 squared is inverse tangent of 1. Meaning, when does our tangent of something equal to 1? Okay, this is when we have the intersection of sine and cosine, which is at pi over 4. If we take into account that we are just going to take a look at the principal branch, this is what we do. It's inside our radius of convergence right here. Meaning overall, this is 1/2 times pi over 4, and this is pi over 8. And if we have f of negative 1/2, I'm simply going to see which values we have. Yeah, this is negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 squared is just, once again, the same thing, so negative pi over 8. This actually turns out to nice values, but we don't know if our series is going to converge to those values, so we really have to check. It's not something we can take for granted here. So, plugging in 1/2 at first, f of 1/2 is going to result in an absolute series, okay, an absolute boy right here, of negative 1 to the kth power over 2k plus 1. And also we have 4 to the 2k plus 1th power. And then times 1/2 to the 4k plus 3. Isn't that this? That's the same one as here, right? I mean, it would make perfect sense if we would plug 1 into here, then we would get the inverse tangent of 1. And this is definitely a series that does converge, okay? It even has a name. Let me check real quick. Because no, it's not completely the same. Because we have 3 is nothing but 2 plus 1. Meaning we can break this up into 4k plus 2 times 1/2. And you see if we factor out the 2 up here, that's 1/2 squared. It's going to give us 1/4. But this is going to change to 2k plus 1 up here. Meaning those are multiplicative inverses from each other. And we are going to end up with 1/2 times the series we had down there. And this series, I mean, if we compare right here, should be equal to pi over 4. That thing had a certain name. Isn't that the Leibniz series or something? I can't remember, but I have to check if this really converges. So let us see if this thing goes to somewhere. I mean, our best bet is if we would just use the same thing as here, basically, but backwards engineering that, okay? That's something we don't even need to do. I mean, this is just a procedure going backwards, but with a 1 up here. So put it into simple terms, if we take a look at the series, that's our series, negative 1 to the kth power over 2k plus 1. But this is just our series, negative 1 to the kth power, x to the 2k plus 1th power over 2k plus 1. I hope you can see where this is going from 0 to 1. Meaning, this is just negative 1 to the kth power, the series integral from 0 to 1 of x to the 2th power to the kth power. I'm going to put it like this, dx. But this is going to result in the sum, if we put this together, okay, integral of the sum. We are going to turn it into a geometric series. From 0 to 1, it does converge absolutely and uniformly, so we can bring it to the inside. Negative x squared to the kth power dx, leaving us with, this is the geometric series like we had before, 0 to 1, dx over 1 plus x squared. And this is the inverse tangent from 0 to 1. On 0 it's going to vanish. Tangent of 0 is just 0. Of 1, and this is pi over 4. So this does indeed converge to pi over 4. It's simply just because we did this before. So solving series like this is a basic idea I have used before on the Basel problem, on the Dirichlet-Eta function, blah, blah, blah. I have done this so often before. So this is seriously something I have practiced in by now. And yeah, this is the upper bound. What about the lower bound? If we plug a negative into here, let's check. We would have the same thing, just with a -1 to the 4k plus 2, so that's 2 times 2k plus 1. This is even, this is going to vanish. So -1 to the first power, if we bring it to the front, it's going to result in this right here. So this is just, yeah, -1/2 times pi over 4. It's -pi/8. So it does converge on the endpoints. This is what I meant. You can't be sure after integration if our endpoints still act the same as before. This is the only thing you really have to be careful about. And this should be it. I'm going to take a look at my phone. If you don't know that already, if you get yourself the Wolfram Alpha app, I do not like installing apps on my phone, but if you choose to get the Wolfram Alpha app, you are, if you pay the price, you are going to get step-by-step solutions. So you pay one time this price of like $3 or something, and you are going to get a lifetime support of step-by-step solutions and shit. I'm not using them in normal case. I haven't used this too often up until now. But yeah, just as a little tip, it's way cheaper than getting the student edition or something of Wolfram Alpha Pro. I'm going to type this in, give me a second. It's working. It doesn't really give me a closed form at the moment, so this is what it looks like. I hope you can see it. And 4 times x to the third power, -64x to the 7th power over 3, and so on. Yeah, it goes on 2 times more, 2 times further, but that's it. Yeah, computation timed out. Yeah, but this should be right. Please, Tucker, tell me in the comments if this was right and to your liking. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe and recommend channel. If you like, if you want to support channel a bit more, by those teachers I created, support channel on Patreon. Up until next video, have a origami bear day. See ya.
Und was halten die Technikprofis von den Geräten?